Mr. Luckett. Uh, November, there are three ballot initiatives that voters we asked to vote on. One would limit eminent domain proceedings. The other would define life as beginning at the moment of fertilization, and the third would require voter ID at the polls. Briefly, could you tell us how you stand on all three of those initiatives?
I think the first one you mentioned is called eminent domain, and I've been on both sides of that fence. I've represented the state of Mississippi before in those types of proceedings. I've represented the landowner in those types of proceedings. I know those and understand those issues. And I'm going to vote in favor of that ballot initiative because I don't think it's right for a private citizen to be deprived of his or her property by another private concern, whether it's a big box business supercenter or something else. On the personhood amendment, I support that amendment. On voter ID, I'm a bit wary of that, and I'll tell you why. There's no real strong evidence of widespread voter fraud, but I think we all need to take note. There have been pockets of it in places where it in fact has occurred. And there's a good chance that that initiative is going to pass. Now, if it does, as governor, I'm going to make sure nobody is discriminated against, that the laws are applied fairly and equally to every candidate in the election process, no matter what party or what the race happens to be. But we have got to be careful to not ever discriminate or disenfranchise any voter. That law is not clear enough to have been tested yet empirically. We must see what the effects of it are, and if it in fact results in voters not going to the polls freely and casting their votes, then we're going to do something about it.
Thank you. Mayor DuPree.
Let me give a disclaimer here, first of all. You know, the chief executive officer of the state of Mississippi or the city of Hattiesburg, it is my responsibility to carry out the laws of the state or the city, whatever those laws are. So regardless of how I vote or where I stand, the people who determine whether this is law or not law, we will uphold that. That being said, you know, I've been on, I guess, the one side of eminent domain is that we've never voted to take someone's property by eminent domain if it's for a private use. That's not, I think, that's un-American, and we won't do that. Personhood, you know, I believe that a person becomes a living being at conception. You know, I'm not proud of some things in my life, but I am proud that my children were born and we kept them. We did. That's a long story, y'all. I read an article once about voter ID that actually said that voter ID was a solution looking for a problem. And let me tell you why I said that. Because there is no data that said that voter fraud is so widespread. It's not. And voter ID is not going to stop voters fraud. You know where you get voters fraud? Vote buying, absentee voting, and then voting assistance. That's where you get voters fraud, at the ballot. Where people buy their vote and they assist people and absentee voting. The legislature had the opportunity last session not to put this on the ballot. They had an opportunity where a few small senators blocked it. They had an opportunity to solve this problem, to have voter ID, and to do something with early voting. Bipartisan. And they decided not to do it. Why? So they could have it on the ballot. Why? So they could get more of you all out to vote. That may be a good thing.
Thank you. We are running out of time. Let's move to the closing statements. Again, Mr. Luckett, you've got the first shot.
Hey, thank you. Thank you, Curtis. Well, as you perhaps have gleaned from what I've said tonight, for the past 3 decades, I've invested my own money, picked up my tools, my hammer, my skill saw, and my paint equipment, and fixed up properties all over Clarksdale. People had quit on Clarksdale a long time ago, but I saw an opportunity. I opened an upscale restaurant with my friend Morgan Freeman, and along with him as well, opened up a blues club that now draw visitors from all corners of the earth and in large numbers. In a part of Mississippi that people had given up on, we created more jobs when there had been too few. We created renewal and progress where there had been blight and decay. Where people had abandoned buildings and some had given up on a community, we created opportunity and hope for a better future. Some people call it the Clarksdale miracle, but I call it hard work and clear vision. If we can create jobs and economic development in the Delta, then we can do it all across the state of Mississippi. I really believe our best days are in front of us. I'm excited about our future. Look at us as a people. We have the best artists, the best athletes, the best musicians, just the best folks anywhere on earth. We have abundant natural resources. We should not be last in anything anymore. We've got to pull together, and I can get us together. I can build that consensus necessary to move this state forward, and I look forward to that opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Luckett. Mayor DuPree.
Thank you very much. Again, as Mr. Luckett said, we do appreciate you all that you are giving us the opportunity to come and express our views and where we stand on certain issues. It gives us an opportunity to get the word out without having to pay for it, and that's always something that's good for us, and I do appreciate that. You know, we've talked about a lot of things here tonight. What separates Mr. Luckett and myself is experience. If I were going to go to court, I'd certainly pick Mr. Luckett. If I was looking for someone to run an agency, a governmental agency, I'd pick me, because I'm biased. Education is the key, though. And that's why we have unveiled the first phase of Mississippi Education Restructuring Program, to make sure that we treat our teachers like professionals that they are. To give them a $2,000 boost in their pay. Well, we may not be putting money in their pocket, but we're not taking money out of their pocket. And so that's what we want to do is to do that, and we can pay for it, and we can budget for it, and then we want to make sure that what was told to the teachers a long time ago. I told you my youngest daughter is a first grade teacher, and she buys pencils and papers for those kids. Well, I buy it because you get it out of my wallet, but she buys it. But the state promised that they was going to increase 1 cent, and 10% of that 1 cent was going to go to buy supplies, $25 million. So the money's there. And so what we propose is not only exempting teachers with 3 years of experience from state income tax, but also giving back to parents and teachers $50 per child so they can buy the supplies that they need. And if they opt out, if they don't want it, they can give it to the school. If they want to give it to the school, let them buy it. We've got to do something different. That's why I'm talking about restructuring education, not reformation, but restructuring. You got to do something different. That's what we're talking about. I praise God that you all allowed us to come here. Thank you for your being attentive, and I pray that you make the right decision, and I pray that is us. God bless you.
Thank you both. You've been very good, and you all have been a great audience. You've been quiet and restrained, and know that people have strong feelings, but a hand for you all too, and our two candidates. Thank you. Good evening.